The kingdom trembled under a sky of blackened clouds, and the ground shook not from storms, but from the wrath of the Dragon King. His roar alone could shatter walls, his gaze could burn through the bravest of men. No one dared fail him, because failure meant death. In the castle courtyard, a line of trembling subjects awaited judgment. One by one, they had been called forward, and one by one, they had disappeared, leaving behind only ash and the echo of their screams. Whispers filled the air, "He executes all who fail." But in the shadows, a young human stable boy named Elias swept the stables, trying not to breathe too loudly. He had no power, no army, no sword, only his wits and the courage of someone who had nothing left to lose. Through a crack in the massive gates, Elias watched the latest victim stumble. The Dragon King's scales glimmered like molten steel, eyes cold as frozen fire. The man begged for mercy, but it was meaningless. With a flick of his claw, the Dragon King ended the man's life. Smoke curled from the ground where he fell. Elias's hands clenched the broom tighter. One day someone has to stop him. But that day was not today. Today, he would survive. And just surviving in this kingdom was a dangerous act in itself. Suddenly, the Dragon King's gaze swept the courtyard, and stopped. It lingered on the small figure in the shadows. A moment of tension so sharp it could cut stone. Could a mere human truly matter to the Dragon King? Elias took a slow, steady breath. The first step of a journey that no one in the kingdom would ever forget was about to begin. The very next morning, the Dragon King summoned the kingdom to the arena. His wings stretched wide, casting shadows like dark mountains over the trembling crowd. His voice, sharp and merciless, echoed through the valley. "Today, you will prove your worth, or be erased from my world." An impossible task lay before them, a labyrinth of fire and stone, filled with traps no human could survive. Nobles and warriors charged forward, swords and shields raised, only to vanish within minutes, snatched by hidden blades, burned by sudden flames, or crushed by falling walls. Their screams rang out, swallowed quickly by the Dragon King's laughter. Elias stood at the back, heart hammering. He had no sword, no armor, no magic. All he had were his instincts, his quick mind, and the hope that he could outsmart death. The other humans whispered and jeered at him, "A stable boy? He'll be gone before he takes one step." But Elias noticed something the others didn't: the patterns in the traps, the timing of the flames, the way the shadows moved. The labyrinth was designed for brute strength, not cleverness. When his turn came, the Dragon King's fiery eyes bore into him. "Step forward, human. Show me your worth, or fall." Elias swallowed hard and moved into the labyrinth. Every step was a gamble. He ducked under swinging blades, rolled past fire traps, and inched along crumbling stone bridges. The crowd gasped as others fell around him, their failure fueling the Dragon King's fury. But Elias pressed on. Not faster than the others, smarter. He noticed a series of markings on the walls, almost invisible. They hinted at the path through the most dangerous sections. One wrong turn, one moment of hesitation, and he would be gone like the rest. And yet, step by careful step, he survived. From the shadows of the Dragon King's perch, a flicker of curiosity stirred. He had never seen a human move like this, calculated, cautious, and somehow, unafraid. The final chamber loomed ahead, larger than any before, and Elias knew this was where the real test awaited. One wrong move here, and not even cleverness could save him. The Dragon King's roar shook the arena. "This is the end for you, human." Elias took a deep breath. Death might wait for him at the next step, but so might something even more extraordinary. Elias stepped into the final chamber of the labyrinth. The air was thick with smoke and the scent of scorched stone. Shadows danced along the walls, twisted and shifting like living creatures. The room was massive, vaulted ceilings disappearing into darkness, and at its center lay a pedestal holding a single, glowing orb. The Dragon King's roar thundered above. "One last trial, human. Touch the orb, if you dare." Every instinct screamed at Elias to run. Countless others had died just trying to cross this room. But as he moved forward, he noticed something strange. The shadows weren't random. They seemed to form a pattern, almost like a story etched in smoke. And as he studied it, a secret revealed itself, one the Dragon King never expected a human to see. The orb was not a trap. It was a test of understanding. The shadows told of the Dragon King's past, a life once full of hope and love, a betrayal that hardened his heart, and the immense loneliness that drove his cruelty. For the first time, Elias saw the truth behind the terror. The Dragon King had been broken before he became merciless. The realization hit him like fire: this was not just a test of skill or courage. It was a test of insight. If he could reach the king's heart, he could survive, maybe even change everything. Careful, quiet, and steady, Elias navigated the last traps, each step guided by the story the shadows told. He avoided the spikes, the swinging axes, and the jets of flame, all while piecing together the hidden pain of the dragon above. At last, he stood before the glowing orb. His hand hovered over it, and he whispered the words the shadows had revealed, "You are not just fear. You are grief, loneliness, and loss." A low rumble filled the chamber. The Dragon King's roar faltered, a shiver running through his massive frame. No human had ever spoken to him like this. Not with defiance, but with understanding. Elias knew he was close to something unimaginable. The king's fury was beginning to crack. But the boy also knew one wrong word, one misstep, could still mean death. The final moment approached, the moment that would determine not just Elias's fate, but the fate of the kingdom itself. The chamber went silent. Even the flames and shadows seemed to hold their breath. Elias took a step forward, then another, until he was no longer just a figure in the labyrinth, he was standing before the Dragon King himself. The massive dragon loomed above, scales glinting like molten metal, eyes burning with a fury that had ended countless lives. His wings spread wide, casting darkness over the room, and his claws scraped the stone with a sound that made even the bravest warriors shiver. "You dare speak to me, human?" the Dragon King rumbled, voice like rolling thunder. "Do you know what I do to those who fail?" Elias met his gaze, unflinching. "Yes," he said quietly, "and I also know why you do it." The king froze. No human had ever dared speak this way, not in arrogance, not in fear, not even in madness. "Why?" he growled, almost unsurely, "why do you speak like you understand me?" Elias took a deep breath. He could feel the Dragon King's rage simmering, but beneath it, something else, pain, loneliness, regret. "Because," he said, "I've seen grief too. I know what it does to a heart. And I know that hiding it behind fear only makes it heavier." The dragon's eyes narrowed. A low, rumbling growl shook the chamber, but it was not the roar of a predator, it was the sound of confusion, of something he hadn't felt in centuries, vulnerability. You presume to teach me?" the Dragon King hissed. His claws twitched, but he did not strike. Elias stepped closer. "I am not teaching you. I am reminding you. You were once more than terror. You were hope. And maybe, that part of you still exists." For a heartbeat, the king's chest rose and fell unevenly. Then came the first tear, sliding down his scaled face, a single drop, glittering in the torchlight. Shock rippled through the chamber. No one had ever seen the Dragon King cry. Elias held his ground, heart pounding, knowing the danger wasn't over. But something had shifted. The terror that had ruled the kingdom was faltering, and for the first time, the dragon faced a choice: continue his reign of fear, or embrace something far harder, far braver, change. The air in the chamber trembled with suspense. Every eye watched as the Dragon King, feared by all, shed tears for a humanity he had long forgotten, and a boy, small and human, had dared to awaken it. The chamber was still, save for the echo of the Dragon King's trembling breath. Elias stood tall, though every muscle in his body ached from the labyrinth and the fear of the dragon above. He had faced death countless times, yet this moment, was unlike anything he had imagined. The Dragon King's massive head lowered, scales glinting in the torchlight. His eyes, once cold and merciless, now shimmered with something fragile, almost human. Tears traced down his face, leaving molten streaks on his dark armor-like skin. Why do you not fear me?" the Dragon King murmured, his voice thick with emotion he had long buried. "All others, they screamed, they fell, and yet, you." Elias swallowed and stepped closer, his voice steady. "Because I see you. Not just the monster, but the pain behind it. You've been lonely, angry, hurt. But you don't have to keep being feared. You can choose to be more." A silence fell, heavy and profound. For centuries, the Dragon King had ruled with terror, and now, for the first time, he faced understanding instead. His mighty wings twitched, then drooped, the weight of his sorrow evident in every movement. "You, human," he whispered, almost brokenly, "you've done what no one else could. You've made me cry." Elias nodded, small but unwavering. "And maybe, if you let go of the fear, you can still be a king worth following, not one who commands terror, but one who inspires respect." For the first time in living memory, the Dragon King knelt, not in defeat, but in humility. The chamber felt lighter, warmer, as if the very air recognized the shift in power, fear had been replaced with understanding. The kingdom outside would remember this day forever. Not as the day a boy survived a dragon, but as the day a human stable boy changed the heart of the most merciless ruler the world had ever known. And as the dragon's tears continued to fall, Elias realized something extraordinary. Sometimes, courage isn't about strength or magic, it's about seeing the truth behind the fear, and standing bravely in its face. The Dragon King had cried. And the kingdom would never be the same again.